I'm a manager, and like any manager, this is, be a leader of the team and put the vision into action. This is, and making sure that we are all aligned and we are working as, one machine, that everybody, pulls it. We all pull from our angle to the same direction. So this is the first challenge.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley in partnership with LeumiTech, sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Synergy Global, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, Birthright Excel, Serona Partners, and in media partnership with CTech. Welcome to another episode of 20-Minute Leaders. Today, I have the amazing Timor Arbel-Sadras with me, the CEO of LeumiTech. Timor has recently joined Leumi Group as LeumiTech's CEO. LeumiTech is the banking arm for high-tech companies. Timor has over 20 years of experience in the high-tech industry and held a variety of senior management positions, among them managing partner at Viola Credit and chief operating officer of EverC, an Israeli fintech startup. At earlier part of her career, Timor was strategy and management consultant at Valoris Consulting and worked with Europe's large telecom operators. Timor also worked at Intel's design center in Haifa in various project, leader, and project management roles in the mobile processors division. Timor holds a BSc Cum Laude in industrial engineering from the Technion and an MBA from ESADE Business School. Timor Arbel-Sadras, CEO of LeumiTech, thank you so much for being here with me on 20-Minute Leaders. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks, Micah, for inviting me.
I've been waiting for this episode. I've been waiting for this episode for so long, and we're gonna have a great time. Timor, your journey is fascinating. From working as product management and product development team leader to management consultant to being a general partner at Viola Credit in the VC world, and then being a chief operating officer. So as much of an operator as you can get in the amazing company EverC, which was also on this podcast, to now being the CEO of LeumiTech and looking at the industry and the ecosystem, again, from a bird's eye view, but now from more of an organization that is here to support startups, both financially, but also with all the different types of programs. And LeumiTech is such a significant part of the ecosystem, not just here, but just in the world. And so I'm really honored to have you here and to learn a little bit about what you experienced. Timor, how do you define yourself? Who are you? Are you an operator, a VC, a manager?
Well, first, I'm a very curious person to begin with. So I'd like to know everything about everything. Although as an investor, I usually say that investors know everything and nothing about everything. So we have like an ocean of knowledge, but this deep. So I'm very curious. I love the junction between technology, business, and people. And I think that along my career, I always found a different implementation for this junction. And I find it fascinating. And these days in the bank, I'm learning like a whole new world. It's like I landed in Japan and now I'm starting to speak Japanese.
Incredible. Did you think that you were going to end up, or not, this is just the middle of your career, but did you think that you would get to a point where you're going to be an executive within a bank or a financial organization?
Well, actually, no. Like at the beginning of my career, I worked, or even, before my career, when I was studying in the Technion, I worked as a flight attendant in El Al, which was a huge organization with union, et cetera. And then I said, never again. I like the intimacy of a small organization when everybody, can really make an impact. But when I faced the opportunity of coming to LeumiTech, I was blown by and excited by the magnitude and the power of the platform to come and, make a real impact in the Israeli industry, tech industry. And that's what drove me in.
So, Timor, what I'd really love to know is if you can walk me through some of the big milestones in your career and shine light on what you learned from that experience, perhaps, or multiple experiences to shape the way that you're leading by example now. Because it's very rare that I get to meet somebody who's held executive positions at such a variety of amazing organizations in such a variety of amazing positions. So maybe you can walk me through some of these great milestones.
Okay, so I'll start with my first manager at Intel back at the day that I was still a student at a Technion, and I worked on a student job. And then I graduated, and they offered me a new position as an engineer, managing, something that was, I felt was really, too big for me. I was scared like hell, and my manager insisted that I'm going to take it. And he told me, you always want to wear a suit that is 2 sizes bigger than you, so you have room to grow. And actually, it proved itself to be, as a very good advice. And it is an advice that I'm taking with me along the way. And also when I'm talking to young people at the beginning of their careers, I always tell them the most important thing in choosing where you're going to work is who's going to be your manager. And then don't be afraid to take on chances and challenges. So this is the first milestone.
And so if when you're looking more practically about this idea of wear a suit that is 2 sizes bigger, if I'm looking at myself or other, young people in the beginning of their journey, what is the mentality that we should be in to embody that spirit?
Well, first, when I worked in Intel, you have to wear your tag with Intel values at the back of the name tag. And for Israelis, they took off the value that's saying risk-taking because it's saying like us Israelis are, we have it enough. So I think this is a lot about taking risk. I think that many in our industry are super talented people that throughout their, life had enjoyed a lot of successes. And sometimes super successful and talented people are afraid to take the leap of doing something that they don't know. And when you're gonna start a startup or business or anything, you're going against the flow. You're not going with the flow. So there are always going to be more people that are going to tell you that it's not going to work than people that are going to support you. And so I think this, courage of failing. You can do stuff and you can fail. And I also tell my people in LeumiTech, like we are making like 10,000 decisions a day. We need to make sure, like we're going to make a lot of mistakes. We need to make sure that we are taking more good decisions than bad decisions. And I think this approach is the key.
When you're talking about risk taking from a perspective, you're holding that perspective from a few different hats. From a general partner at Viola Credit, as a COO of the EverC company, and now as the CEO of LeumiTech. Are you bringing in the same mentality for risk taking to those 3 hugely different organizations? Does it require the same persona, or do you feel like you needed to shift your thinking as you've been transitioning from different organizations?
No, I think it's. I must take a step backward here, because I'm married to an entrepreneur of a startup, a real entrepreneur. Okay. And for him, I am not a person that is risk taking. Okay. So we need to put everything into proportion. Still, I was working for a VC and revenue stage company and a banks. Okay. But still, I think that when you are truthful to your beliefs and you listen to your intuition, that was, a result of everything that you gathered along the way, and you're not afraid of breaking walls and doing what's right. I think this was the same for me in every position that I was. I was never afraid to speak up my opinion. of course, after thoughtful, it was a thoughtful opinion, and I had the courage, to push it through. You need to be smart about it because you're always part of a team. And hopefully you are part of a team that includes people that are much smarter than you in some areas. Then you need, to choose your battles. But I think in that case, the courage and the risk taking was the same in each position.
The transition from Viola Credit to a COO, Chief Operating Officer, those really are vastly different, I'm sure, from being on the capital side to now being an operator, right? We're often hear that one of the big gaps that we have between financial institutions and startups is the fact that oftentimes there's an operator on one side and then a decision maker on another side, and sometimes they don't understand each other well. Well, you had the chance to understand both. What was that transition like for you?
Well, it was amazing. I spent 14 years in Viola Credit and worked with hundreds of startups and very intimately with dozens of startups. And I thought I know a lot about the challenges, but looking at it from the other side, when you need to push through, it taught me a lot. Many stuff that I thought I realized that were blind spots for me when I was on the investor side. And I now appreciate even more the executives on startups.
Right. Does it change now as you transition to LeumiTech? Because you're interacting with both ends of the stick, right? Both the VC side of the ecosystem here and also the entrepreneurial side. What do you take from your time as an operator to your current position as CEO of LeumiTech?
So LeumiTech is a startup in Leumi, and that's the spirit, and not only mine, but that's the spirit of everybody that works for LeumiTech. This is not very natural, or wasn't very natural years ago for a bank to understand how to correctly analyze the risk in startup companies. And my predecessor, ESADE, she was the entrepreneur that took the early stage, and I'm coming in the revenue stage. If I can compare it to startups. But we are still, we are looking every day how to listen to our customers. I think this is the first rule of a successful startup anyway. And then how to be flexible, how to be agile, how to find the right solutions, for the pains and the need of our customers.
So a startup within a bank, LeumiTech. What is that? We see banners about it, we see events about it. You're working with some amazing projects. What is LeumiTech in essence?
So the idea behind LeumiTech is that the tech industry is different than any other industry, and it has different needs. And if we want to serve those, if we want to be the financial home and the trusted advisor for our clients, then we need our people to do only that, to breathe and live tech and startups. And that's what we are doing. So our people, they are bankers, but they are part of the they are part of the high tech ecosystem. So their training is all about startups and tech and technologies and trends in the tech, and how does a company build, and what are the stages, and what are VCs, and how they are built. So this is the training that they are going through, and they see themselves, and we see themselves, each one in LeumiTech, as the partner. We're taking we have some percentage of our time is being taking a job at our client's company and watching their back. And also being the ambassador of those companies within the bank. and explaining where they're coming from in order to ease all the processes. A bank has tons of regulation, and we need to make sure that we adapt the processes and everything that we do into the real reality of startups.
Right. So back to the startups perspective. So if we're looking at entrepreneurs in the ecosystem here today, in what ways are they really interacting with LeumiTech on a day-to-day basis as they're building their company?
So, at the beginning, when we have like two entrepreneurs with a PowerPoint deck, and so it's really helping them. And they it's the first company. They never built a company before. So it's really helping them along the way with every step, watching that they don't fall in each hole. First invoice coming from a customer, first investment coming from an angel that, God forbid, is not Israeli sometimes. So it's like tons of issues. That's to begin with. And then later, to help them work on their financial planning and structure it right and give the right advice on the right time with the financing, because at the end of the day, this is what we're doing best. We are the experts for credit for startups. So at the beginning, sometimes they need like small financing, to bridge timing difference between an investment and their cash flow. Then later on, they need some kind of growth financing. Then later on, they need venture lending, which can replace some of the growth equity. So it's really working with them along the way and giving our professional advices for financing correctly their growth.
Are they surprised at this interaction? Because I'm thinking traditionally even 5-6 years ago, when you're still thinking about a bank and you're thinking about startups, you're thinking that the interaction is not trivial and it's not intuitive. Yet here you're saying that you're so integrated into the ecosystem in such a meaningful way, where they might be consulting with you about PowerPoint slides or about some of their plans. That sounds like a very intimate relationship that is pretty new to this idea of a financial institution working with innovators in the ecosystem. Is this a smooth transition for all of us to make, or are there some blocks along the way?
So first, let me start by saying that we are a startup. Okay, so we are still we have the vision. We know where we want to be, but there is still for us way to go. So,
but you see, Timor, how you're even. I'm bringing in this old mentality, and I'm calling you a bank, and you're saying, no, Michael, you're wrong. We're a startup. We're just like the startups in Israel. We just happen to be also with the bank, and so we're seeing both ends, right?
Yes, but what I mean is that we have the vision. We know what's important for our customers. Okay, it's not perfect yet. And we are still, we have a lot of things to improve. And I really love the feedback that we are getting from our customers to know where to focus our efforts. And but yes, there are I think many, especially growth phase startups, where this is our main strength, that there is great intimacy between their relationship manager at the bank and the CFO, for example. Yeah.
Really interesting. For you, as the CEO of LeumiTech, you're growing the team here. What is this like for you? You're seeing that you're a startup with a grand vision, and you're looking for ways to integrate with the ecosystem. What are the biggest challenges that you need to be facing on a micro or macro level to reach your vision?
Wow, that's big. Well, first, I'm a manager, and like any manager, this is be a leader of the team and put the vision into action. This is and making sure that we are all aligned and we are working as one machine, that everybody pulls it. We all pull from our angle to the same direction. So this is the first challenge. There is also a challenge of communicating to the world, which is, I think, what I'm doing now. That we are progressing. Every day, every month, we are better and closer to our vision. And to tell them, come. Try us, see how far we are going with you in our support for your growth.
I have the most important question, Timor, one that truly I'm most fascinated by. With everything you've done and your background, you can pretty much do anything that you would choose to do. Yet you choose this position. Why?
Well, first, as I told you, I think this is another challenge of taking what I know, to do best. And this is to understand the real essence, the real risk in a startup, and then translating into smart financing, into the right structure of a loan, and to really make the match between the pain and the product, which is always what I'm looking at when I'm looking at startups. So this is what I'm looking and to find myself in LeumiTech.
Timor, toda rabba. Thank you very much. This was wonderful. I learned a lot, and I came in knowing that your journey is interesting, and I found it fascinating, and I love the way that you're extracting these different experiences and understanding both the complexities, but also feeling that you're very, very optimistic about the integration of all these different moving pieces. And I've been obviously following LeumiTech's activities for a long time now, and I'm very, very inspired. And I think that it's really a showcase for the world to show how different industries are coming together, and decision makers are paving the way for these meaningful connections. And I think that the startups that get to work with LeumiTech are very, very lucky. So thank you very much for joining me today, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Michael. Really, it was fun. So thank you.
Thank you. תודה רבה.